Virtus.Pro's turn to bat.
Enjoyed Ramsey's hero pool so much right now. Like, he's been going a lot to this Luna. I'd like to see like it shifted quite a bit in a different direction, be a little more mobile. Seems like they're going for like a death ball type of style in the last series. I think they should just relax a little bit and go more for just like having a well-rounded lineup and just playing for your strengths and not really just playing for some specific timing.
Well, Marcy Enigma definitely taken out, like you said, Kezu, but VP are actually ban out the Shadow Fiend themselves and want to go for that Primal Beast.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, you know, too crazy. It depends a little bit on your trap and like how comfortable you are, but if you want to leave, they could have done it, but they still have confidence in their Primal Beast. Probably feel like, yeah, you know, the hero was not the problem, it was good, maybe we just, you know, screwed up a little later down the draft. And I mean, Team Liquid, it looks like the way that they want to respond to this hero right away every time is you want to create maybe 2 side lanes that do well against him, and then also to just ruin the hero like after the laning stage.
This clock and Disruptor. Really not much more that can be said, but do you think the Primal Beast for VP could be because it's a lot more flexible in where they could be putting it? And seeing this retaliation from Liquid, do you think they would then be more inclined to put it towards support?
Potentially. VP has played it in 3 different roles, it's mid, off lane, and the Baltimore support, so You're going with the basics of phase 1 drafting, you know, keep a bit of a flex open, you don't have to lock it in anywhere specific. If you look at a support Primal Beast, I feel like the biggest impact has come from the mid lane Primal Beast, which we've seen various mid players utilize in the last, not just this tournament, but in the last month or so, where they can make a lot happen, get that early BKB timer, and you are pretty much unstoppable, but did see that this Clockwork did fit in pretty nicely against the Beast, so maybe they want to like still ponder their options here. Like, do we decide to put it into the off lane, get ourselves a good side lane matchup for ourselves, because laning efficiency has really been key this tournament.
Yeah, I definitely think this Clockwork is more of like a lane counter to the Primal Beast, which gives you like more reason to put this Primal Beast in the mid lane. And GPK has played it one time, and it was 15-5 score at the end, and looks like that was also against Team Liquid. So he has played this hero against Liquid before, and he popped off with it. So I don't see a reason, especially when you do see this Clockwork. He wants to follow you in the laning stage to make sure you can't be trampling around, canceling your spells. Mid lane, you don't have to worry about that so much, so that could be an option. However, I could see it being a support too. As mentioned, it could work really well with the Visage, just being like that melee body that gets in there, so the Visage can get the soul assumption charges and keep throwing that nuke off.
5 seconds remaining.
I like the idea of the Visage pick here as well. I mean, they could also move this hero around between mid and off lane. I'm more of a fan of the off lane Visage in terms of how the hero basically works as an aura carrier, a heavy pusher, lots of damage. You can still like decide if you want to go for Aghanim's. If you're not in the necessarily lead in the game, you're not really pushing your opponent into turtle defense, so you can look for pickoffs with the Aghanim's, which is also an option. We haven't seen that too often though, but some games they might have gone for the Aghanim's route as well for this. And DM has played it twice and he's won both games. Those were against Michi and against Liquid in Game 3 of that upper bracket, so I guess they're looking for their strengths from the previous series that they played.
10 seconds remaining.
Any thoughts for you, Kezu, on how we're going to open this second phase?
So I was kind of looking for Liquid, what they're aiming for. It has to be a core hero coming up next. I feel like VP's bans are very spot on. You may see Liquid, you know, take a little bit more time on their opening pick, because this is not that easy. Like, when you open with 2 supports who cannot be a core, really, unless you're playing Clock Core, which I don't see them do here. If the enemy team bans very well, which they did, this pick here is not easy for you to do. I was thinking the Lone Druid could be good because you can go to multiple lanes. You don't have the Shadow Fiend either that you can put in multiple lanes. They've done the same with Pudge, who's also banned out. Because for them, it will be the easiest for them if they can take a core they feel good about, but it also isn't just locked to one specific lane. It looks like, you know, Matu just made some gesture like, what if we pick this? I don't know what they're gonna do. And to be fair, sadly I can't read his lips because currently I'm having a very hard time figuring out like the specific pick that you go for here that just lets you feel very good. I feel like down the line you want a hero that again kind of protects you from the Visage Birds, maybe like a Tidehunter, but it is not the type of hero I think that they can open the next phase with at the moment.
Saw a little bit of the tiny, the tiny Ags in a couple series kind of destroyed the Visage Bird when you do get to that tree volley. Seemed to lane pretty decently against the Primal Beast. It's not like the most amazing hero I can imagine, but it sounds like it could get the job done.
Virtus.Pro's turn to pick.
Yeah, I mean, we touched upon the topic of Sven a couple of times. Sven is also really good against the Visage, but I do like the idea of bringing up the Tiny with that Daedalus build up, Aghanim's on top of that, just smashing his way not only through heroes, but also the split push potential is quickly diminished, which is also a strength that VP could possibly utilize, but they're going to go for the Pango instead for Liquid to start things off with, and I've only seen Nikkei play Pango in this team so far, but he's also won both games, so he has a lot of 100%ers that we've seen today, and some of them have just fallen flat, so I think this is still a pretty decent Pango game by the looks of it.
Yeah, against the Visage Birds, you can break through the cloaks pretty easily. Against the Primal Beast, you can, if it is the mid lane, you can disengage with the Swashbuckle. You can trade with your W, and Pulverize does not go through BKB, so once you start that the roll up there, you deal with it, and you can always be canceling the Pulverize in the fights. So pretty good pick here. I think I like it a lot.
Yeah, like the Pango, it's a hero that can maybe go to different lanes, though I really feel like offlane Pango is insanely hard to execute. It's just way better mid in most of the games where you play it. So I think here for Virtus.Pro, if you can just come up with a pick that Pango mid doesn't feel good against, even if they then counter pick you in that lane, you force them to put it offlane, which can be quite uncomfortable. I still kind of like this Lina coming out from GPK. I don't know if the early pressure from Pango clock will be enough to dissuade it, but I would really like the type of mid hero that makes the Pango's life harder. Something like the potential Ember or Lina, and then you pair it up with the +5 pick from Hakoda, who doesn't have his Disruptor left, which he has actually played in like 5 out of his last 6 games. And they're gonna go with the Skyrush, which is actually a hero they played before quite a bit, and that hero is very scary, like for Pango. Pango hates to be silenced and like nuke down fast. Skyrush, he has both of those tools.
I'm really keen to see the Skyrats. These guys pulled it out during 2 or 3 for DPC. I'm pretty sure they even pulled it out a few times in qualifiers, and it looks really good. Feels like almost an Eastern European staple at this point, too.
Yeah, I think Yamich is the one who plays it quite a bit, so a Tiny coming out as well. So what are they doing, I guess, with their supports? That's like the real question, because like carry Tiny's kind of dead, right? They're not going to play carry Tiny, so 2 of these have to be supports.
Sky 5.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that, right? Yamish is now going to have to be the Tiny, yeah. Sky will have to be 5. Visage, its only role is pretty much in the offlane right now, unless we get to cover some Bet Boom later. The Hawk also is the only carry player I know that plays that Hawk 1. But then Primal Beast will be going to that mid lane here.
Something that's a bit intriguing for me here is the drafts that Liquid has played around this Pango, and they were 2 very different types of drafts. They played it with Shaker Dark Surgic Hero PB, and the PB actually looks pretty spicy considering the Pudge is banned. The other game they played it with the Slark, but they're going to go for Lifestealer, so they're going for a very different route. Kind of mixing heroes from here and there and not having like a previous game draft at all. And I kind of like that style from Liquid here, not to be too obvious with what they want to go for.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds.
Okay, the same thoughts for you, Kazi, now that you see... Oh, Orphea. Yeah, you can go.
No, I was just kind of like noticing a meta trend right now, which is a lot of teams are putting like their Skywrath, their Disruptor in the offlane with another ranged hero, and that's kind of scary because, well, to build on a topic, Tiny can go in the safe lane, like Kezu kind of mentioned that a lot of ranged position 1s are being picked. And I've kind of noticed there's a lot of like dual nuking,
10 seconds
like
remaining.
position like 3-4 like combos here, and that's pretty scary for the lifestealer if that does happen. You will not want to lane against Skyrim with Visage lane if Ramses does end up picking that ranged carry here. So I do understand how a lifestealer can like, it's good versus the Tiny, but the support don't really care too much about that. Good versus the mid primal in a lot of ways. But I don't see this lifestealer being like a gotcha pick here, and I think they can exploit it on
10
VP.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, I would like to add on to the lifestealer is, like, it's okay. I don't think it's necessarily anything crazy when you play up against like a Visage. Visage lane's okay, then he gets 6, you don't really interact with that hero that much anymore. Something I could see for VP, or at least something I feel like could feel good for them, is to like take potentially Razor. I don't know how much Ramses has played that lately, but when I see these Liquid heroes, I want a hero that matches up with my Visage and Tiny, so like you have this mid-game timing 15 minutes, and I want him to have a hero that's gonna have a BKB at like an okay timing. Nature's Prophet is a little iffy. I don't think they banned too much for it. Razor Nature's is kind of like what I would like the most. There's a TA, but I also don't think they covered that. Jugger, I can see a Jugger. It's a pretty good Jugger game. Against, you have Spin against the Disruptor, you're fine against the Clock. You don't care about Pango, you don't care about Nyx. I would be okay with any of the picks we just mentioned.
Yeah, the healing ward, there's a Razor, that's good too. Alright. Okay. Definitely straightforward counter pick to the lifestealer there. Definitely makes it very difficult to play this hero when you are linked.
So if you need like a distance hero here, for if Nikkei plays Pango, does I go for Darkseer, Beast, or Venom? Darkseer's bad, so never mind. So Beast or Venom
can work. I feel you need something that dissuades this matchup between Nyx and Razor. So like you need a guy that either deals with Razor aggressively by killing him, or someone that, you know, locks him down or builds a Lotus Orb for your Nyx so that he can run in. It is Venom, okay.
Venomous
at least we got to call both the last picks. That's true.
Right, yeah. Guy on that, Venno, I guess you're not too much of a fan. Fear for that lifesteal, didn't think it was a gotcha, and then being countered by the Razor. Does that mean you're going to be seeing VP having better lanes that they might be able to get on top of this and snowball with their lineup?
I would really like to see it if they go ahead and put the Tiny with the Razor in the laning stage, try to toss back, you know, the Venno, get some kills there. But more importantly, give the Lifestealer a lane where he just cannot right-click heroes and just keep getting harassed by the Skywrath plus Visage there. I think that would make the laning stage pretty good for VP here.
And what is the best case scenario, Kezu, for Liquid?
I think for Liquid, best case scenario that they can do is to do well in their lanes, because they kind of have to. Their heroes don't scale that well against VP. I'm a little afraid a lot of the times in these drafts where if one team gets like double, triple BKB, the enemy team can't fight anymore. And I feel like that's the case this game. If Virtus.Pro have a good early game, they get to their BKBs in an even game, I'm gonna say that VP will take this first game.
And final thoughts for you, T-Pan, before we do head in?
I want to say Liquid in this one. I'm going to go with Liquid's draft. I feel like if they just hit their timings and kind of avoid this Visage from getting out of hands, like of course there's a lot of counters from VP's side, but I feel like Liquid can manage and weather the storm in this one.
Yeah, well, whether it's VP or Liquid, we're going to have to see. It is only game one in this best of three. Whoever wins this series is going to be getting that last slot to TI. So let's jump on in. It's Dan Aries.
Or whether you're a player, streamer, Twitch viewer, or an average Herald gamer, every single person is at the edge of their seat to find out if Virtus.Pro will take the final slot at TI11. One team's hopes will be crushed and the other team will be on cloud 9. Denog, we heard the panel, what they had to say about game one itself. What do you think about this game?
I think VP got this one. I think they might have gotten a little bit too much baited into going to try and counter out that Primal Beast with the Lifestealer, with all of these sorts of things, and I think they've got the burst to be able to deal with him. And I just got to say, how fitting is it? We play out this entire DPC season to get the top 12 teams to automatically qualify for TI. Both of these guys didn't have too much luck during the regional qualifiers, but 13th and 14th placed on DPC points. VP and Liquid play off in one last series for one last spot at TI. I'm so hyped. I can't wait. We would get into it, but there's a pause.
It's alright. We get to brew in the moment a little bit. We get to see the players, giving the good lucks out, the good luck hombre. We see a little bit of issues with some hotkeys as well. It's okay. It's fine. It's just setting us up for a beautiful game one. Of course, this is the rematch as well, isn't it, Daniel? This is the rematch between these two teams. We saw Liquid. They were knocked down to the lower bracket previously.
Sorry, I gotta cut you off. Look at this all chat, man. That's what we gotta be talking about. How's your day? Oh, it's not going too bad. He's like, well, ask me in 3 hours, and then GPK says, well, it's maybe gonna be 2 hours. Let's see if it's gonna be a 2-0 or not. But I really like the way that VP drafted this time around. Where we've seen Liquid look super strong is when they're able to push and be aggressive early on. Just between these two teams in particular, VP, when they win their games, they win it 11.5 minutes slower than Liquid does. Liquid are trying to close it out in the 30 to 35 minute mark. VP, they're happy with 40 to 45. So the fact that they got rid of these heroes like the Shadow Fiend, the Enigma, lots of these very fast pushing ones, Lone Druid was dissuaded away from as well. I think VP are going to be very happy with this, and like as you mentioned, with that Razor pick, there's nowhere else a Lifestealer can go, so they're very happy to have that direct counter there.
Yeah, VP are without a doubt happy with the late game, but we have seen some issues with them being able to actually close out games, and I think the most recent one would be that game one against Secret earlier today. We've seen some other games in particular, the difficulties with them throwing some leads, so you're exactly right. Liquid on it always like to look to end early, but VP, it's still a big question at the moment. Would they be in this position if some of those leads had gone another way?
Yeah, for sure. They're still going to put GPK on the Primal Beast. Like I was saying before, it feels like it has been semi-countered by some of their heroes, right? Early on, you're going to have the Glimpse, you're going to have the Lifestealer, which still does a decent amount of that percentage damage against him. You just get so farmed that it's very effective. GPK trying to put the cheats in just for a little bit of extra gold in the old chat there. Not going to work out. The other interesting thing is that this is only the second Skywrath Mage pick of the entire tournament. The other team that did it was Infamous against Extreme Gaming. They lost, unfortunately. So to bring out in this last series of the Last Chance qualifiers as a hero with 0% win rate, it's a ballsy one, but we'll see if it ends up working out. They're actually going to put the two ranged up top here as well, DM and Hakoda, and maybe just looking to really emphasize that Ramses has a solid start to this game on the Razor with the toss back on Yamich and be able to secure some of that early gold so that the Lifestealer isn't as much of a threat once the lanes start to dissolve and we get into the mid game.
Do we feel like there's either side that, with how the lanes are set up at the moment, are going to be a little bit more favorable to come out on top with a slight advantage here?
It just depends on how this first blood goes in my eyes, right? You're going to have a lot of damage being spammed out onto this top side of the map. Disruptor, not really one of those heroes that likes to go into something like the headdress, so you might be able to spam him out, but Insania, he's got the two sets of tangos to be able to start with, so he just realizes that he needs to constantly be putting pressure on, preventing DM and Hakoda from putting a lot of pressure onto Matumba Man, because, like I was saying before, Ramses needs a good start. If Matu could stay a little bit ahead of the Razor, maybe the tempo is just going to be a bit too much.
Yeah, always concerns with the Lifestealer if you do get shoved out into the jungle. It's a hero that is very self-sufficient, unable to catch up too easily. We see pretty much every lane at the moment, just abilities being spammed out, trying to edge out that little victory here, trying to get the resources low on the other side.
Big thing that I'm looking at is this level 2 at bottom. Yeah, Boxy's doing a really good job, but he's not going to have that freedom to consistently walk on forward, especially with the wave sitting underneath the tower. If he does this once Yamich is level 2, maybe you get that toss back and you're able to get that early kill.
They might go now. Yeah, Zai just hit level 2, but they were just off the mark.
Not quite yet level 2 just yet. There's a creep that's about to die. It was actually the range creep, so they might have been able to secure that one if they just waited that little bit longer, but both teams, some of the nerves starting to get to them. Couple of first bloods being missed out on. The mid lane rather, Mickey going up against GPK. Yeah, Pango, probably one of the better heroes to be able to lane against the Primal Beast. You've got plenty of abilities that allow you to soak up some damage. Once he levels up the Swashbuckle a little bit more, he's going to be able to be not so worried about the trample affecting him. Just be able to create that little bit of a gap. For me, for VP, they're just playing around these BKB timings, right? Then you suddenly don't really care about the kinetic field or the glimpse or the Pango roll. It's really just going to be quite heavily on the back of Boxy to be able to just use something like the cogs, like the hook shot, that don't care about the BKB to allow his team to be able to create that little bit of a gap and kite out those BKBs.
So far, it looks like the lane's going pretty well from either side. Visage struggling at the moment on DM. This is a hero that can have some difficulties. I mean, level 1, very, very strong, but with the other levels of the lane, you can feel a little bit awkward here. So 9 last hits for DM. And Senya's done a very good job to continue to have the creep equilibrium.
Oh, look at this, look at this. Up top, GPK, he's already making the move. This is what we saw Thompson do in T1 series. Yeah, and they scan out the movement entirely. He pushed the wave onto the tower. They're going to look to position themselves really defensively.
Look at the aggressive Glyph. The Tumberman's in trouble. A Glyph can not help out. GPK, nice attempt. It was a glimpse to try and send him away. But the aggressive one from Virtus.Pro, a great maneuver, even though the scan connected from Liquid.
Yeah, they did almost everything right there on Liquid. Maybe just not able to pop that rage quite quickly enough. Didn't see if it was on cooldown or not, but yeah, that's a big win coming through from VP, especially giving it over to DM, like you were mentioning. Didn't have the greatest net worth in the laning phase.
Actually top. Yeah, but Tumberman and Senya hit back instantly. Dakota will get a trade. It's a big kill though for at least Liquid to find, kind of stabilizing that previous death.
Yeah, for sure, but you still get the experience. You're still up to level 3 now on DM. Of course, he's the one that's going to start to put a bit more pressure on. This is probably a much faster draft than that VP are used to playing, just because they don't have to contend with defending against Liquids. They can play the game much more on their tempo, I feel.
We feel like a lot of the tempo is going to come out from GPK, and then like early on until we get some of the timings out of DM.
Yeah, absolutely. They also mentioned T-Panda during the panel that VP, they're a very stack-heavy lineup, and, well, Razor, one of the better heroes at being able to take those. You know, you stack up the jungle, even the Radiant one, you can take multiple stacks at the same time, accelerate your net worth, and look to pick up that early-ish BKB, because, yeah, like you were saying before, GPK, he's the one that's going to be rotating towards the Visage's lane, open up the map by taking some of those towers.
It's going to come down to Liquid and how they can start to set up some of their wards to be able to scout out GPK. Already seen him try and make one move across the map, and closing on that level 6 is going to further enable that. They don't have the greatest wards at the moment. Liquid will need to consider shortly as well, and well, even Virtus.Pro as well, considering GPK has a bottle. So I think this next power rune, the first one of the game, is going to be a really big moment here in game 1.
Yeah, Liquid have already got some of the wards set up for it. The one placed down by Boxy in the bottom lane, securing that one a little bit. Again, it really doesn't matter where DM makes the where GPK makes the rotation to. Top side now.
They're going on Ramses.
Okay.
Gale and Boxy is going to try and step in. They do a pretty decent job to break the static link. Not a whole lot of damage that Ramses been able to soak up. It's like they're still trying to enter though. Yamich gets the avalanche. Will be okay. Boxy's going to push Ramses away. Meanwhile, top lane though, DM brings down the Tumberman. Senya's able to keep back, but not getting the core trade onto Visage is really going to continue to hurt the game with the lifestealer.
Oh, and look at this. They're talking about those power runes. He's level 6 on GPK, making the rotation up with his ultimate.
The plasma into the tree throw from Yamich. Ramses might get traced to the tree line. Avalanche going to be able to cover the retreat. Beautifully done from Yamich as Ramses can step out of danger.
They spotted out GPK's movement with this sentry ward, just preventing the spore camp from being blocked. So Matu's not going to chain feed up here. It's very important that just a simple ward could have potentially changed the outcome of this game. The siege creep is up on the top side. DM's about to hit onto level 6. So GPK, he wants to stay up top, but GPK, wisely enough, he's keeping that mid lane shoved in as much as possible.
So a little bit of information now for Virtus.Pro to play with. Boxy tried to TP to the T2 tower to try and get the gold, or I should say mainly the experience from Yamich denying. So the fact that Clockwork will not be able to rotate now might enable GPK once again to think about making a play top.
Question is, what can Mickey do in the meantime? He's actually going to be the one to make the first move. He's got level 7, Rolling Thunder being popped. They want to take out DM.
They'll be able to do just that. Mickey can bounce back off the tree. Insania will be able to keep his own life. Not enough damage coming out from the Soul Assumption, so beautifully done. Mickey, a big kill for them to be able to find top lane. Gives a bit of a full free wave here from the top of man.
It does, but it gives GPK a way to be able to shut the lane in mid as well. So he does that. That was the flag bearer creep as well, just going down. So losing out a little bit on that work, essentially doing what Mickey just did to him with pushing the wave in. Radiant tier 1 mid already sitting at half HP. So close, tiny little changes like that Sentry Ward if it wasn't up top to scout out GPK's movement. Sure, Mickey would have been able to get the same amount done in the mid lane, but Matu probably would have died. Would have had to make that walk of shame back, maybe even go back into the jungle, which, as we've been saying, lifestealers really don't want to do.
50-50 goes Mickey's way, gets a regen, nothing too crazy. Will help with the farm. A little bit lucky considering GPK had the ultimate advantage. No battle going on though.
Matu.
See though these observer wards.
Getting run out a little bit. You've got the familiars available. Coda.
The Ancient Seal, yeah, might catch him off guard. Matu's in trouble. Familiars under the second. The damage is not enough. A really nice attempt for Virtus.Pro. The Ancient Seal is always going to prove to be an issue here for the lifesteal as the game continues on. As bottom lane, Ramsey's inside the cogs at the moment. Zaya making sure he plays his distance, not trying to give it an easy static link target. Ramsey's now forced to try and move over the clockwork. A beautiful toss up at the tower. Fox is in trouble. They'll be able to secure the kill. Zaya, first ultimate of the game, should bring down Ramsey. Is a team bit of base. I don't think he's going to figure out. Ramsey's popped the Verifier. He's got the range up as well. Meanwhile, top lane, the action continues as Mickey. Another rotation with the Rolling Thunder. They'll get the kill onto Yakoda.
It's just a little bit short on mana on GPK. You could tell he wants to up the tempo. He wants to create a lot of pressure for this lifestealer. Some of these movements really haven't been working out, and Liquid are taking advantage of it. Previously, there were multiple lanes going in Virtus.Pro's favor. Not so much anymore.
Matu's second in net worth, considering his 2 early deaths that we saw in the lane, so have to be very happy with Liquid. And Senior's very close to level 6 as well, so this could give him a free pick off across the map.
Matu, he hasn't fully retreated back into, the depths of the jungle. He's looking to make sure that he's thereabouts. If he wants to be able to connect through onto that T1 tower to defend it like he had previously, then that really does slow down a lot of where Virtus.Pro were able to get that farm, because you have to remember they've got a Tiny that they're playing with. Yamich, he just makes a stack inside of the Radiant jungle, and he wants to make sure that he can sit in a lane that's, perhaps a little bit greedier, but enabled, because Virtus.Pro's cores might be able to farm that couple of extra jungle camps that happen as soon as you take down one of these towers. That blink dagger timing, incredibly important for a support.
Ramsey might be in trouble here with the jungle. They got 3 points in the glimpse. They're not going to get a whole lot of distance, but with all the heroes from Liquid nearby, and they see Virtus.Pro still playing up top, so nice pick off for them to find, but at least Virtus.Pro will get their first T1 tower of the game.
Yeah, and they did that while they were taking that tower. They know that Virtus.Pro's main objective is taking that, so they're not going to be in a position to TP back, to be played defensively around Ramses. He was farming in a pretty safe spot, but Liquid just reading the minds of Virtus.Pro right now.
Do you kind of see how easy it is at the moment for Virtus.Pro to be able to take these objectives? They have this advantage in regards to the familiar. Do we feel like Liquid might have that mid lane, GPK? Not going to get too much distance away. Mickey will actually do a U-turn back to Yamich. Fox is going to look about stepping in as well. This is a very deep attempt now that they haven't been able to capitalize on the early use of that Rolling Thunder, but it is space created. Zai free farming down bot, starting to put some pressure into the tower. 3 points in the Plague Ward, so he's got firm control of bottom. It's going to be very difficult for Virtus.Pro to be able to recapture this side of the map.
To their credit, though, they don't really need to. Like I was saying before, that tower going down top really does open up a few more areas of the map. You can see that Liquid, they've essentially sealed off all entrances into the Radiant jungle, so the bottom half of the map is all Liquid's right now. Zai's just going to sit there. He's going to farm a little bit more until he picks up that Wraith Pact. You've almost got the Diffusal Blade on the Pangolier as well. Even the Armlet on Matubba Man is going to come at a pretty similar timing, so in about 3 minutes or so, when it hits into that nighttime, expect Liquid to make their first move.
Already Virtus.Pro, this is their first move with the level 6. This is a big pick-off if they can find it. But Yamich is a little bit too far away. A lot of burst potential between the duo supports from Virtus.Pro. They're going to be able to block off Insania. The backs up on the high ground, puts the Disruptor in an awkward position. So at least Virtus.Pro will find 1 kill.
They will, but it's not the one that they were wanting. They want to continue to pressure up Matu. He's been able to still, even being 5th or so on the net worth, he's a little bit ahead of Ramses. Alright, well DM, he's continuing to push up on this top side. They want to make sure that they can cause Liquid to make a lot of movements up towards this top side of the map if they need to. Doesn't seem like they're going to take the bait though. Matu makes the TP. He still wants to be the one sitting around here, and Yamich, he's using this time to be able to be a little bit greedier, take some of that safe, relatively safe farm that they've got, because this doesn't feel kind of like what's happening on the bottom side with Zai, with the Plague Woods. Liquid really don't want to be venturing too far into their jungle. The kill threat from Virtus.Pro is way too high.
See what Liquid can do. Smoke is 3. Yamich has got some great positioning. Smoke's gonna pop, and I'll see the Tiny. Not the hero they want to bring down to start. And in fact, Virtus.Pro want to take the team fight. They're gonna toss Boxy into the middle, taking a lot of damage at the moment for the Clockwork. They haven't secured the kill just yet, but the Soul Assumption finally enough to bring him down. In the end, a 1-for-1, but Liquid do commit multiple ultimates. But in the end, Mickey will still be able to catch up as well with a maxed out shield crash and up burst to be able to bring down the duo support from Virtus.Pro. And again, look at what's happening across the map. Oh, that thought is top lane. Matu rage back up in a couple of seconds. The rest of the team is starting to connect. And the ultimates were used by Virtus.Pro. They should be okay.
Looks like they'll be able to back off. Yeah, even without that ultimate, Insania, still a few seconds left on the glimpse. They're going to potentially look to keep chasing, but you got to be careful about going into these choke points. Has the defusal available, but look at this by Zai. He's moved away from the bottom lane, went into mid, took the tower. Now suddenly the map is a little bit more open for Liquid to play with.
That's another power rune secured as well for Mickey. Feels like he's got in every single power rune, and they're going to look to use it instantly onto Yakoda. And one big advantage that Radiant are playing with at the moment as a whole, again, look at Liquid, they're not done. Yamich looks to enter the lane. He's trying to get a little bit of farm to work towards the Blink Dagger. They see Ramses as well. Zai, if required, might have to drop the ultimate, but Mickey, he's got his own Rolling Thunder to be able to catch back up. Near the high ground to bounce back and forth. It's not even required for the second stun. It's Liquid go from one kill to the next. They're building up quite the lead here.
They are indeed. DM still doing his best to continue the pressure up top, to make sure that he's got eyes on the minimap at all times, preventing any of these gank attempts to connect. But look at this, Insania, Boxy, the support duo. They saw, I don't think they saw the courier path, but they're going to see it on the way back. They'll be able to connect through onto DM. They realize he is the one creating the only tempo this game. TP's coming up, nice scan, being able to catch out perhaps anyone else that's sticking by.
Oh, no! Alright, look at the static storm down at least. A little bit awkward with a hook shot, but there's no way for DM to make it out, so it'll still end up going down nonetheless, even with a little bit of miscommunication.
A little bit of extra gold for Insania as well. We've seen how important those disruptors, if they can get it to their Aghanim Scepter, it can be. So he's been involved in a fair few kills so far, able to secure that Familiar. Looking pretty decent so far for the man. Of course, very important for him to get into the 4-star for this game, though, just to be able to get that extra distance away from the Razor, the Mystic Flare, the Primal Beast. Movement is key for Liquid.
Holy.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
They're trying to bait out Ramses. Look at the support duo on VP this time. They're like, well, you can make a play on one of our cores. We can try and do the same, but Liquid, they don't take it. Realize that they've been a few too many heroes off the map for too long, so just going to sit back, relax, let us play our timing. We've got the diffusal blade. Now we can make our move.
The Infest Bomb, they see Ramses. Hero's going to buy him some time, and Tumperman's going to continue to move on forward. They've got the vision for the glimpse to cancel the TP. And now Ramses, he's going to be caught out. No escape for the Razor. The prize target once again for Liquid, as they're going to continue to slow down the game from Virtus.Pro.
Immediately the line's drawn on the map as well, saying, look, I might have died, but they committed a lot to be able to make that happen. Rolling Thunder coming through, Infest Bomb not available anymore. And would you have a look at this? Look how early he bought the Aghanim Shard as well. The Lifestealer, open wounds, already picked up here. He wants to be able to go man mode against these heroes like the Razor, for example, and still actually do something against a lot of that damage that might be static linked off.
I think this is the second time I've seen Matu do this now. I think when we casted their previous series, might have been back in the group stages where he went for the Ag Shard very early on. So interesting to see kind of the development of Lifesteal's item builders. I guess the meta goes on. Yamich, they might dive him. Yeah, Zai with the backstab. This is a big thing, man. The fact that Virtus.Pro are getting no kills on their duo support, like this is both Tiny and Sky really rely on getting these kills. You are high burst magic damage heroes, and if you can't blow the supports up, if you can't get towards the blink, it's really going to hinder VP's game. Yeah, top lane. Roxy gets the hook shot, Mickey with the follow-up as well. Virtus.Pro do have multiple members nearby as GPK just assassinates the backline, and DM, he's okay. Protected with the Wraith Pack, the damage mitigation is proving to be an issue for Liquid. Can they finally deal with it? Looks like that's going to be the case, but the Mystic Flare not enabling Virtus.Pro to turn it around, so they need to cut their losses as GPK is going to dive out of the area. DM will not have the same capability, however, so in the end, a 2-for-2, Virtus.Pro to at least get 2 supports, but it still comes at a cost.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty big win for Liquid as well. Not just necessarily because of that core and support trade, but Yamich, he thought that fight was going to go on a little bit longer, so he commits his TP onto the tier 1 top. There was, I believe, 2 waves hitting into the tier 2 bottom at the time, and if he went down there instead, he would have been able to spend that time farming up the remaining parts of his Blink Dagger. He might still be able to with this, but you mentioned before that they've got this kill support duo with Yamich as well as Hakoda. That Blink Dagger is a big part of that.
I think as the game goes on, it's going to really prove to be an issue with this Wraith Pack. We just see how tanky DM is and through that little skirmish there. And I mean, he's even got the hood working on the pipe next item as well. So Liquid may have some difficulties with being able to blow up the Visage. And I think this is probably the big timing key now for BP. They've got double BKB, really the first item now completed on Ramses.
They do indeed. You still got to wait for Yamich though. You're not ready. You might have to give up this tower, and they're saying, well, they're not defending this tier 1. They certainly have the capabilities to. There has to be a reason. They're not quite ready to fight. Let's just go straight on to Roche. And I actually quite like this play.
Not sure if they have confirmation prior, but they now know that Ramses has BKB with that rocket flare. And they also know exactly where VP are at the moment. Even though they scan, there will be no contest. So a free first Roche going away of Liquid, 5,000 net worth lead. Are we going to continue to see them play active across the map? They've got 16 kills, but can they get objectives with this Aegis?
I think it's important for them to play active, but they got to play active onto the right heroes, right? You mentioned before that BKB on Ramses makes him a lot more tanky for a lot of these engagements happening, particularly coming through from Zai as well as Mickey. So if he's able to back away from that and cause them to go on perhaps the Primal Beast instead, then that's really going to enable some of that damage to come out from BP.
So we already see the observed ward from Liquid being able to scout out Hakoda. Trying to leave down the bottom side of the map. They might have seen him also place the ward as well if they were checking the inventory. We'll see if Liquid look to deward that afterwards, but that kill should give them firm control of this bottom side of the map. So the T2 tower will soon be under siege, and even mid is getting shot down as well. So Liquid have a lot of room to make plays now.
Yeah, while Liquid weren't showing on the map, you know, VP were doing the best that they could to try and get the most that they could out of the map with their farm, but they didn't lose any towers. You know, even the tier 1 mid still standing, tier 1 on the bottom side of the map, and Matu, he's closing on his Desolator. So it was probably an area of weakness for them.
Again, Virtus.Pro are going to try and smoke to get up here, but I don't think DM's going to be healthy enough to survive this long. Trying to get the tower, but the familiars will go down, so Virtus.Pro, they need to get something out of this smoke. They will see Insania and Zai shortly.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
He's also not easy to blow up. He's got the Wraith Pact if he can chuck it. Oh, the Torse, no, out of the Mystic Flare. But the use of the Ancient Seal, Static Storm is going to be able to cover the retreat, but Ramses on the wraparound. They'll be able to kill off the Venomancer. The Virtus.Pro, they need to get out the use of the Poison Oval. Not enable them to stick around as Boxy. He's actually been able to catch out Ramses. A BKB won't protect him as the Cog's not enabling him to run up the high gun, so he's going to have to go to the left instead. But a completely wasted BKB, and he'll still end up losing his life.
That's the great thing about the open wounds, right? I was mentioning before how it's good to allow you to just stand and man fight against these Razor, Primal Beast, even the Tiny eventually with his great stat game, but just the slow component, it means that you need to be so much more conscientious of when you're looking to pop that BKB. Oh, and the massive Titus on Ramses as well. He's going to be kicking himself there.
Just some slight errors that we usually don't see from this Virtus.Pro team. But that last fight in particular, the toss out of the Mystic Flare. The support duo in particular, Hakoda and Yarmich have always been good. The synergy between them, but something needs to click shortly. This game's starting to get out of hand, and maybe this could be the smoke.
And that was their big timing, right? They wanted to have that Blink Dagger with the Mystic Flare combination together as well from the Tiny, and they just didn't accomplish it. Damage moving forward under the cover of smoke.
He's in there. They've got the infest. They're going to have a lot of bonus health, but Tumberman's going to pop out. A 1-for-1 to start, but they're in trouble now, Virtus.Pro. The Delta split comes through, but DM's going to be glimpsed back into the middle. Matumberman won't have a stun to be able to cancel the Visage TP, so DM will be able to escape. Meanwhile, back up to the left side, Nikkei, a solo use of the Rolling Thunder has been able to isolate Yarmich on the Tiny. So Liquid in the end will be able to find two, but they've also caught out GPK. It's got a BKB to work with if required. They're going to drag it back into the Static Storm. There's not much GPK can do to play this one aggressively. It's going to try and trample away, but the bashes are there, making sure there will be no opportunity as Matumberman can close the distance to get the right clicks going.
It's just those little bit of things of coordination, right? He pops the BKB and runs away from Ramses that can commit forward with the static link. He wanted to be able to help out his teammate, but you can't do that if you're just going to instantly cause the link to break. That range on the open wood is kind of nutty.
For VP, I think it needs to be a toss into Ancient Seal if they're really going to start the fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're somewhat rattled. Oh, there we go. Okay, just claim.
Dire aren't all here at the moment. Foxy's still going to look to hookshot under the T2 tower. They've been able to kite the Mystic Flare as well, which is a lot of the initial damage from Virtus.Pro. The Infest is going to be enough to secure the kill, and also doesn't put Matumberman in a compromised position. Meanwhile, though, Zai is under the ward and the creeps as well. Instant use of the Raid Pact. Has been able to break the static link, and now with the Rolling Thunder. Okay, actually, not used from Nikkei. Charge it up. Ready for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, he wants to. He wants to create space to the left-hand side of this tier 2 tower, so that's going to go down. Zai just
might go down here. They got Swashbuckle back up. Is Nikkei going to go for it? Oh, so close. I think some of the last little ticks weren't there with the Swashbuckle.
Radiant structures are
agonizingly close, man. This is looking real good for Liquid so far. I mean, the amount of times that they made that attempt up top with the tier 2 tower, it felt like DM was up there 5 separate times just trying to take that, and Liquid just had their minds on the amount of time that it would take for them to achieve an objective, get a gank, and go back and prevent VP from opening up the map. Even with that tier 2 tower taken, they haven't left their side of the map, so they haven't actually achieved anything. They haven't gotten the rewards for that tower that they committed so much for.
And it's up. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower.
It's going to be really scary here for Virtus.Pro. Look at the ward they've got at the triangle as well. Maybe this could help out though. Scepter now completed from GPK. Do you feel like there's another item that VP need to maybe turn the tides?
Well, I mean, 4-staffs are pretty at a premium for the supports as well, but just with how the game's been going, without being able to secure a lot of those kills early on, means that it's still going to be quite some time until Yarmich, he's a fair way away, but Hakoda's still picked his one up, so maybe if they could go for a smoke, get a pick off before the 4-staffs are needed, and then when Liquid try and go for the counter gank, that's when it can really start to have its impact.
Foxy might be right. Okay. He might be right on the money if he kept going towards the lane. Almost was able to cut off instead. He's going to hookshot into the middle. But Tumberman's still got a double damage for it to play with. It's the swipe away the life of Yakoda. And our GPK, he's the next on the agenda as well. It might have to be another defensive BKB to get him out. It's like at least the Scepter. Need the deterrent here from Liquid. They're going to back up for their prize. Will be the tier 2 tower.
Middle tower has
And you just cannot fight into that DD. They see him slowly walk on past. They know that the Primal Beast isn't quite there, so they can go for an aggressive gank attempt and then just have the freedom to back off. Yep, BKB is the objective that they wanted to get out of that, and now they can look to make another move in a few seconds. Just seconds left on that hookshot cooldown. They're just going to check for a power rune. It's an arcane rune. Mikkei, he has been on point with being able to secure these with his team. Might even be able to have the luxury of securing tier 3 items, go back with that little bit of an advantage because VP are holed up in their base. They're not going to be able to get that extra little bit of a power spike.
The Clockwork has been a support that has been rising in popularity over the last chance qualifiers. We see it as a big hero for Virtus.Pro in particular, and well, this game, Boxy is looking to show that he is incredibly strong in the hero as well. We've already seen him play it today, and these hook shots have been on point. Okay. We might see it once again as GPK. A kinetic field? Oh no! Yeah, you can't charge out of that one, which has been unfortunate, so it's just waiting for the hook shot to cancel out the TP. Instantly Boxy was there, was ready for the attempt. The high fives, well, he won't get any back as Mickey is godlike.
He is indeed, and he's even got the basher as well, so even if Boxy wasn't there, it would have had the potential to be able to take out that key target again. These movements coming through from Liquid, this is TI caliber. This is what a lot of people in the past have criticized them for, crumbling under the weight of expectation, but really coming through for not only themselves, but their region as well. Secret already having qualified, and could we be seeing 2 Western European teams coming through the last chance qualifiers?
I mean, both Insania, Boxy, and Mickey, they missed out on TI-10. They do not want to miss out on another TI, and with how Game 1 is looking at the moment, and making sure that is not going to be the case. Insania is chilling. All these four-stars, man, the supports are so farmed.
Yeah, and look at this as well. Like, this seems like a bit of a, I don't want to call it an all-in play just yet. Normally, you buy the gem when you've got control over the map, maybe when you've got the Aegis as well, but Hakoda, he's gone back and said, look, I know I had enough gold for my 4-star. We need to be able to play around the map. I need to make sure that we get some vision back, because right now, we've got nothing.
And it's the advantage that Liquid have. You're playing with Rocket Flare, you're playing with goddamn Plague Wards. Nothing they can do.
Shoving up pretty easily with Swashbuckle as well.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful call. Like, lanes are a very important way to gain vision. You see DM's trying to do that. Bottom with the familiars, Boxy and Marty are going to surround them. So, and just to read, yeah, you're trying to get these lanes in a position where maybe you can set up for a pickoff, but Virtus.Pro, the 5-man smoke, they'll get nothing out of it. So maybe they can at least, and they will, they're going to drop an Observe Ward by the Roche. It will be up in 45 seconds. Let's see if they can take a fight around this area, but Dire are going to see them shortly.
Illusion.
Might have even got the sense that DM had re-summoned his familiars too, so even if he does have the buyback, which he does, will be the key target for them to look to try and go on if they can take away that fight.
Boxy's on the hind. Yamich gets the initiation over the static storm fault as well. Matumba's going to turn to deal with a tiny. They have stolen a decent amount of damage, but Mickey's in the Rolling Thunder. A bounce back as well. They're going to try and target down Ramses, completely taking the Razor out of the team fight. He's surviving for the moment. They're going to turn to deal with DM, but the Visage just is unable to stay alive. Liquid are too far ahead, and Ramses will not be able to find a way through the tree line. They just put back in the lane, and Virtus.Pro have had enough as Liquid. You mentioned that this is a team, whenever they find their victories, they do it incredibly fast, and they've done it here once again. A 30-minute Game 1 victory in our last series of the last chance qualifiers.
Very, very crisp, very clean. Batu, that's the face of someone that just lost a game, not just one. A little face palm, but no, they're looking